Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are coming in from today from Monday Mentor. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Jen Whitmer, and I help teams and leaders solve conflict, cultivate communication, and create empowered teams, leveraging the Enneagram. So work is a joy, people are whole, and organizations flourish. And today on Monday Mentor, it is a solo episode. It is a mini workshop time with me. So normally each week I bring on a guest. For the last 2 weeks, I've just been doing some mini workshops on the power of, last week we were talking about self-awareness and how it gets you paid more. And this week we're talking about how identifying your values can increase your profit. And so today I am going to go through values and why values are important. And I was reminded of this when I was making some big decisions a couple weeks ago, and I was in the trap of overthinking. So, when you're like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, but what about this? And what about, and you're going through all of those things. I was like, wait, I already have a framework for helping me make decisions. And so I went through, I have 5 values: joy, connection, flourishing, curiosity, and valor. And I went through and I was like, which one of these is the most important for this decision? And started making them. It immediately reduced the overwhelm. It immediately reduced the overthinking. And then I ended up actually making a great decision. I was pretty happy with it. And so when I was thinking about this workshop, I wanted to bring that into who you are as a leader, but also what does the research say around values and why values are important. It is a key piece of a leadership retreat that I'm doing in June. So the Catalyst retreat is coming up. It is for 12 leaders. It is a really small group of people that we're going to get together. But one of the most important things we're doing is actually the first day is we're talking about values. So I'll get to more of that later, but let's talk about what we're doing today. Everybody loves an agenda. So here's today's agenda. We're going to talk about values-driven organization, and that is you organizing yourself as a leader, but also as a huge company or a small organization. We're going to talk about the business outcomes of values. Then we're going to talk about, what does painting done look like when it means values? And then what is your role? So if you are joining us live today, let me know you're here live. If you are joining the replay, tell me in the comments that you're coming in the replay, and I will make sure, if you've got questions, to come back and answer them in the comments. So today, as we go through, I am curious, how many of you have worked on values, and what does that mean? Is your value family? Is your value integrity? What is the value? And because we get all kind of crazy about what values are. So when I'm talking about values, I mean something more than just honesty. They're deeper values and how you go about making decisions. So here are some reasons. The research shows that values have incredible business outcomes. So the first one is about profit, because I told you, identify your values, increase your profit. I'm going to deliver on that promise right out of the gate. So values-driven organizations had a 682% higher revenue. They increased the revenue over a certain period of time compared to other organizations by 682%. Other organizations who didn't identify your values increased their revenue by 166. I am not a mathematician or statistician, but I do know that 682% higher revenue is something that I want. Their stock prices increased 901% versus 74%. And their net income increased by 756%. So what that means is that their revenue increased, but they actually had a greater net income, which means somewhere in there, they lowered some costs because they had identified clear values. These are pretty compelling numbers when we talk about profit and revenue. But there's also the human component of your business, which is where I love to play, and I spend most of my time doing all those people power skills. So what happens when you identify your values to your employees? Well, the big idea is that employee feedback was 23% higher. This is a good place to work than places that didn't identify their values. 23%. So it was 76% of employees in values-driven organizations felt like this was a good place to work. And they were more satisfied there than they were in other places. And what that results in is lower employee turnover. Voluntary turnover means I'm leaving, I'm out, not somebody who was through like retirement and somebody who was let go or downsized. This is, I don't like it here, I'm leaving, was down 11.3% over companies that didn't have values. It was in the single digits. The turnover for a values-driven organization was below 5%. That is a low turnover rate. And that always is better for you and your organization. And so also, this is what it means about consumers. We talk about consumers, values-driven organizations identify with consumers because consumers want to buy based on values. PR report from a couple weeks ago showed that people who are 55 and older are 60% likely to buy on values, but millennials are 83% likely to buy on values. 83% say, I want to buy from a company whose values I identify with. Well, they can't identify your values if you haven't identified yours. So that is the power of the business outcomes of identifying your values. And then what do we do with that? Why is identifying values the next step? Like, what are we going to do with that? So as I was saying at the beginning, at the Catalyst Retreat, we're going to spend the first day identifying values. And at this retreat, we're going to be focusing on you as a leader and how you as a leader create a great team. So I've already told you all the business outcomes about why values matter. And so that is what we're doing in that first day. So we're going to also talk about leadership alignment with your values and your organization leadership mindset and who you are as a leader, but also your leadership style. And my favorite thing that we're going to do is create a plan. So at the end of this retreat, we're going to spend 2.5 days together digging into those things. But then when you leave, you have a plan, because I'm one of those people that loves to have fun. I've like gone on this great trip and then I walk away and I'm like, what did I do? What does that matter? I get a text from my kiddo who is in college. I have a deadline to meet, a client who needs a new invoice proposal. All of those things start to come in and I've forgotten what I'm going to do. Are you like this? Please tell me I'm not the only one, right? So when I have a plan and I have that put in my calendar, I know how I'm going to start to implement something. That's when it gets done. And that's my favorite part of the retreat. So we're going to do all this work that's going to get you those business outcomes, but you're going to have a plan to make sure you get it done. So as an organization, what do you need to do to get these great outcomes, to have this higher revenue and reduced employee turnover? I'm going to go backwards a little bit. One thing that you need to do is have your values inside your systems. You need to operationalize your values inside a system to make sure that your values are happening in every stage of your business. They have to be a part of your operations. They have to be a part of your systems. They have to be a part of what you do daily to operate in your business. In order to put your values inside a system, you have to communicate them clearly. So values have to be communicated over and over and over again. They have to be clearly communicated. They have to be repeatedly communicated, not just like, well, we said them, not just posters on the wall, not just hanging out in the boardroom. They have to be communicated to the people who do the work. So if you have an organization of 10 people, that feels real doable. If you have an organization of 500 people, that scale feels harder. But it still has to be clearly communicated. So the test, here's just a quick little test. If this works, ask somebody in your business, what are our business values? Everybody in your business, you should be able to, at the water cooler or in a Slack conversation, say, hey, what are our values? What do we value here at this business? What do we value in this organization? When everybody can do that consistently, that is when you've clearly communicated your values. So over and over again. So this little model here with the pink is because everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody knows what they are. They're clear. That's painting done. And so in order to have the right system, in order your values to be inside your systems and operationalized in your organization, They have to be clearly communicated. Well, in order to clearly communicate them, they have to first be clear. So a lot of times we have fuzzy values. We're like, oh yeah, we value people, but we don't really know what that means. We value prosperity, or we value family, or we value care. But that word can mean a lot of different things. The word itself isn't enough. That's not clear. And so one of the things that we'll work on at the Catalyst Retreat are the really clarifying what the value is, well beyond the word. So I have a framework to take you through, and I take organizations through the same framework, because it's personal and organizational values always have to be clarified. They have to be crystal clear, and you have to know what that means. So in order to, have it inside your system, you need to be able to have it communicated over and over again. And over to clearly communicate, it has to be clear. That's what is needed in your values. And that's painting done. And that is what gets you these types of outcomes. 682% increased revenue, a 756% increased net income, a 23% increase in employee feedback, reduced turnover. So when you have those three things, that's what happens for you. When you have clear values that are clearly communicated and operationalized into your systems, that's when you get those amazing profit values. Okay, I know I've thrown a lot at you in this workshop. So I just want you to take a moment and pause, and I want you to consider, just Harry Potter magic wand with me for a moment. If you had clear, operationalized, clearly communicated values, what could be possible in your organization? What could that make happen? And even more important, what would that feel like? What kind of that clarity would feel like? What kind of freedom would that feel like for you as a leader and people in your organization? What could you get done? And if you want some help with that, I would love to help you. You can grab a Spark session. A Spark session is literally a phone call. We're going to make a very quick phone call. It's 15 minutes. We take a look at what's working, what isn't working. We uncover the most pressing problem to keep you stuck. That might be your values. That might be, I need to identify what's next for you as a leader, might be your values. And so we're going to figure that out on this very quick call. And you can make that happen at jenwhitmer.com/spark call. So as you think about your values as a leader, you have to clarify them for you and your team so it's shared. But you can't do any of that work until you've done the deep work of identifying your values. And that's really hard to do when you've got Slack messages coming at you, a Teams call happening in a moment, when you've got a kid's permission slip to fill out, and all of those pressures coming at you in the day-to-day grind of the work that we do. Even if you love the work that you do, it's hard to start to clarify that in like a 30-minute call. So that is why the retreat is so valuable. That is why spending some time away is the reason. Spending some time away changes the atmosphere that allows you to come away with something different. Because if you could do it inside the grind, inside the daily task list and calendar, you would have done it already. So at the Catalyst Leadership Retreat, what we're doing is getting that time away. It's going to be here in St. Louis. So if you're local, fantastic. If you're flying in, we have a great airport. You can come in, and we are going to spend that time away. Like I said, we're going to dig into values, but we're also going to dig into who you are as a leader, as a person, so you can lead like you, not like somebody else, but just like you. And that leadership mindset. And what does it take to have that leadership mindset that is really successful, and instead of imposter syndrome, and really digging into your leadership style. And what that does for you is it gives you the confidence that you can do it. You're not sacrificing who you are or giving up the rest of your life. And you have a clear plan moving forward that helps you lead your team better, gives you all the great revenue things that we talked about earlier, but can also help you move up individually in your career because you're more effective as a leader. And this time away can really supercharge what's happening, which is why I named it Catalyst. So when you think about what you need as a human and your values, do you have enough time to do that? Do you need to get away? Do you need to have some time to really dig into your values to know how you can move up, how you can organize your team? What does it look like when your values are actually systematized and operationalized in your leadership, in your life, and in your business? I would love to help you do that. So if you're interested in the Catalyst Retreat, you can go right here and get all the details and information. If you've got questions, you can always hop on a Spark call. I'm happy to talk to you about it. So for now, what I want to leave you with is identifying your values transforms your business. It is a foundational piece that everything else has been on. Your mission and your vision, all of that actually comes from the foundation of values. And that will increase your profit. It'll increase your employee satisfaction and give you the great results that you want as an organization and as a leader. So I hope this was helpful for you today. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments. If you have questions about the Catalyst Retreat, you're like, oh, I'm not ready to sign up, I got questions, just shoot me a DM and say Catalyst, and I will make sure I get your questions answered. All right, next week is actually Memorial Day here in the United States. It is a holiday, and so I am taking the week off, but we will return the 1st of June with Monday Mentor, and some great guests are coming your way in the very near future. I hope to see you all then. Bye, everybody.